Hey everyone, Mr. Devil here, Kenny Danico, 3-time Stanley Cup champion of the New Jersey Devils, and you're listening to the Uncle Puckers New Jersey Devils podcast. Let's go Devils!
Welcome to the Uncle Puckers New Jersey Devil podcast. I'm Chris with Tim and Keith Kachuk here with us today. Keith, tell us what it's like having a son raise that championship banner. What's it like, Keith?
Dude, let me tell you something. It was just the coolest thing. It really was. I mean, it's middle school, ICMSL, whatever it was. But man, to see these kids kind of put it together and come together in the playoffs the way you really want. That last game was a nail biter too, because it was tied late in the third. It was just protecting a 1-goal lead, not a 2-goal lead. You kind of clenching the whole way, but they really just stood up, man. They did it right. And this is another team that came down from above our development league. So we had to beat them twice to win. And that was a really tall order. I've never been so nervous, quite frankly. I think I was more nervous than Caden all day. And but just to see them perform the way they did. I don't know. I got just nothing but praise for these kids, man. It was such exciting hockey, given the fact that they're 10 to 14 years old. And some of the talent is just incredible. And then we went right from there to basically his first club. He's going to be on club team next year, 2-day tryouts. And this is for 12U, right? And oh my God, the talent that you're seeing at this age, I can't wrap my head around it, because even baseball, like as good as I got at that at some point, I didn't even start playing until I was probably like 12 years old. So I can't comprehend the speed of which I'm seeing these kids fly around the ice and shoot the puck. And I can only liken it to this: whether you've been to Hawaii or not, you'll probably just understand the visual. When I was at Hawaii for my honeymoon, I went over to the North Shore of Maui, not the Big Island, but Maui, which is where the waves typically are in Hawaii. The bigger waves are going to be on any of the North Shores. And I stood there and watched 10-year-olds rip it to the point that I have never seen in my life. It was kind of like that. It was like, holy shit, this is like an elite kind of group of kids. And the next journey is going to be awesome. He'll be doing the club and middle school next year. So 3 practices and 3 games pretty much every week. Talked to his new coach last night. Really excited about that. But my goodness, just the team in general. It was so much fun. You know, when you get close, just like when our teams win the Stanley Cup or something like that, or a World Series, when you get close, it hurts that much more to not win. And I was really worried about the disappointment. But thankfully we didn't have to, because
disappointment will be held off for at least another year.
We got a lot of kids moving up next year.
There's
so expectations are not high.
That video you sent us of that one little kid on the other team. That kid's nasty. He just like walked through the whole fucking team and almost roofed it. I was like,
right at the end. Yeah. And that was a 5-on-3 power play for us with 40 seconds left in the game.
Did that kid
run through the zone? Yeah. He almost roofed it. Almost went off the crossbar. Our goalie came up huge too. So we had 2 goalies all year. If you ask me, I would tell you they were equals. One was a little older. Maybe you could say it's just a tad bit better, but they basically split time, and one goalie got less and less as kind of the playoffs went on. It started with the game before the semis, because he had played like a double tournament the day before. So he came up to the other goalie, who usually does the second half. He's like, you're going to get most of the game. And the other goalie got like 8 minutes in that game, then 6 minutes the next game. And then the 2 finals games, he didn't see any time. But quite frankly, it was the right call. Like at this level where everything's that much more heightened, like he was that much better and needed to be in there. I think just like Caden and the other 5th grader, they got very reduced ice time. Like everything was, I'm not out there looking for equal share of line time. You know what I mean?
Not in the championship.
It's for the entire team.
But he's on the youngest edge of this age group too. So
was that other goalie.
Yeah, as he gets older,
he's also a 5th grader.
He'll get more time.
So I think the coach pulled all the right buttons, and just did everything right. Because if even as a parent, if you're going to sit up there and be concerned about your ice time for your child, who, like in case of mine, is obviously a skill level below, that would just be ignorant on my part. This is a team game, and this is what it took to win. And it came down to the wire, as you saw from that last shot. So even on a 5-on-3, it wasn't over.
Well, we were doing a live stream during it, and a bunch of the guys, that always hop on with us were sending their congratulations to you because we were kind of keeping them updated on everything and letting them know when Caden won. So it's awesome, man. We're super proud of him, super proud of
Yeah,
you.
you never know
And
when you're going to get these chances.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's so much has to fall in line to get into these games, and I'm reminded of something that we don't, as hockey fans, we probably don't even need to say, but there is no sport that comes close to what is necessary to do in hockey. I mean, I'm talking to all these coaches in different sports, and everybody to a man says like the same thing. Like, you can play football year one, take a summer off, and then come back in, and boom, you're great at football. That ain't happening in hockey. Like, you need ice time. You need to master so much just on the ice before you're even talking about how the skill can translate to the game. Like, for
that's
example, the
true.
fact that my kid's got a great shot in the backyard on the deck. He's got a good wrist shot. He's got a great slap shot. All those things. Haven't done it yet on the ice. It's different when you're skating on razor blades and you just want to
Right.
fall on your ass. So I just get reminded constantly seeing these kids that there's no sport like hockey. It is definitely
And
the best sport in the world.
you'll see it with Caden soon where that starts to all click. It's like in
Of course.
anything, it just all of a sudden it clicks and you're like, oh shit, okay. I can skate full speed and still get this slapper off and still get this wrister off and all that stuff. So it'll all fall in line, but it's just awesome. We're so happy for you,
Yeah.
man. You guys.
Coach
know.
Tim's gonna come up, and my little protege is gonna we're kids going
Love it.
places. Also saw he's wearing number 86, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. That is cool. But there is another person in the family, the Hughes family, that I think today should be a Luke Hughes appreciation show, just because what we have been saying for the last little bit, like, all right, Hamilton's out. The training wheels need to come off, and we need to just let Luke kind of be Luke. And my goodness, the last couple of games, this guy has been phenomenal. And we will get into all of that, the two big wins against Minnesota and the upcoming Ranger game. But first, we have to do a little shout out to our Hockey Podcast Network sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going, but that just means there's time for your favorite team to figure things out and games left for you to get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code THPN. That's for THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, visit dkng.co/audio. That's DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. The crown is yours. Okay, now we can get to the show. Two big games this week. Home and home against the Wild. We talked a little bit on Sunday about the game Saturday. The Devils looked great. Just went up to Minnesota, holding on by an ass hair in that third, and just decided, you know what? We're just going to keep on scoring. Kept their foot on the gas and did it. But can they do it again? When they come back home, the same opponent, very much like a beginning of a playoff series now. You're seeing it was testy in game one. How is that going to boil over? How are our boys going to respond? And I don't know about you guys, but I was extremely happy with yesterday's game. I thought that, we could have won it quite a few times, but, I'm not even going to give a whole bunch of shit over that Boldy goal with, 2 minutes left, a minute and a half left, or whatever it was. Because you know what? That was just a gorgeous freaking goal. Like, not many guys are scoring that goal. So I know Dylan made a mistake. I understand that. The puck ended up going right to Boldy, but the fact that he was able to get that thing elevated on his backhand while falling on his face, that was impressive. So, all right, we still get the other point. But I'm real curious what you guys feel about just this last game against the Wild, how this team has kind of looked over the course of these last 4 games. We know what happened with the Winnipeg game again, but the Chicago game, the 2 Wild games, and most importantly, Luke really stepping up and saying, no, I don't want to. I'm done hearing that we don't have a number 1 D-man anymore because Siegs and Hamilton are out. I'm the number 1 D-man. And, man, he's proven it. But, yeah, curious what you guys think. Whoever wants to start.
Yeah, I can go first. The first Minnesota game, yeah, we covered off on that. That was just a pretty thorough drubbing, start to finish. This game kind of weathered a little bit of a storm for the first 5-6 minutes or so. And a line that I've actually been kind of impressed with recently has been that Tatar Palat Dowling line. And, they went through a full rotation of lines, and then that line came out for their second shift and really started to push back and push back on it. And from there on out, it was a pretty even game, kind of back and forth, pretty strong defensively. And yeah, I'm running, I wrote in my recap, like I'm running out of superlatives for Luke, like month of March, he is second in defensive and scoring, only behind Cale Makar. It's just remarkable the way that he's just found a new gear. And you know what's crazy is he's only 21. This is only his second year. We the side by side of him and Quinn at this time is pretty even in terms of the general production and stat lines and stuff like that. And the sky is the limit for this kid. We still have some cracks in this system, but I think, since that Flyers game, they're at a 7-4-1 pace, 625 winning percentage. You take those 2 Winnipeg games out because we're just not in that class. They're beating the teams that they should beat. I think this all bodes well, and it looks like it's coming together. I think we've kind of, and I don't know if this is sort of accidental or not, but I think Keefe has kind of hit on a lineup that really works really well with some minor tweaks. That first line, that Nico, Bratt, Nason line, like Nason has suddenly kind of reemerged. He was a little sleepy time for a couple months, but Nico and Bratt are pretty electric together. I really like, Meyer Mercer Halla has been playing well. Mercer has really elevated his game. I've been killing him all season, but he's been playing a hell of a lot better. Just mentioned that third line, which has been pretty good. Dowling's been a trooper this whole season, man. Just ask him what we need to do of him. He works so hard. He knows he's not that good, but he just works so hard, and that's admirable. Glass will come in for him. The fourth line, I think still have some rotational parts, and I think that's fine. For a fourth line, I did kind of like Cotter at center, even though some of the metrics didn't say that. I think he kind of really opened up, and that's where he scored that really filthy goal a couple games ago. Mm-hmm. I thought Foote was okay a couple games ago. He had some good moments. I really like Sprong's game last night. The only issue that I've had recently was just that Dylan Nemec pairing. That it became pretty clear. Nemec didn't see a shift after he couldn't tie up his Nostroza's, however the fuck you say that guy's name, after he couldn't tie up his stick on that tip play. And like we have to start limiting those tips. These floater shots that come in and either tie up the guy's stick or get out to the point quicker. So that was a lot. Markstrom seems like he's bounced back and is right back in form. He was great last night. So that's really it. It's very encouraging. They have a couple of days off, watch film, kind of relax, rest, and for this final push for the last 6 games, they're going to go 6-0.
Yeah, you got the 4 days off. You let some of these teams that have some games in hand catch up and see where everything falls by this time next week. But I mean, we're going to be fine. We don't, that I think 1, 2, 3 in the Metro is locked up. But Bobby, what would you make out of that?
I think encouraging is absolutely the right word to use. Just kind of overall, without putting any particular stat on it or anything like that, just kind of the eye test in the last little while. They just look more like a cohesive unit. Mm-hmm. They look like more guys understand or settling into more of their role. Not to suggest mismanagement earlier in the year, because a guy like Mercer is kind of a unique situation, right? But and where you played him all year and what was, but now you look at when we need him and he has to step up and he's got maybe a little bit more of a role in that he's producing. He's given us what we need. Our main guys that are left are showing that they are main guys again, from, well, not again. Some of them never stopped, but I mean, Hischier and Bratt, like you said, I don't know how to speak any more highly of those two. I think Timo's still doing his thing. A lot of the other guys, everybody has seemed to step up their game at least enough to make this kind of whole unit work together. Luke Hughes, I don't know that.
Tone,
Hey,
What's up,
I didn't
Tony?
think you were jumping on with us.
Yeah, I was doing the morgues. I just saw you guys were doing what you're doing, so I was like, I'll stop on for a few and see what's
Awesome,
up.
awesome. All
Yeah.
right, we'll get to you in a second as soon as Bobby finishes his thoughts.
Yeah, just to finish up on Luke Hughes, I don't know that I've seen the elevation in a player in one short year that I'm seeing with Luke Hughes. I mean, we weren't the first to say this. I probably heard it because I heard scouts say it, but there is a contingent out there who had said early on that the best Hughes may be the youngest Hughes, and that is not out of reach the way he is playing in what he's done in 1 year. Think about what he can do in 2 and 3 years from now. And like you said, Tim, he's 21 years old. I mean, I'm just over the moon right now with what we're seeing from him. His brother too. I love Jack. The two of them together are going to do just great things for it. But Luke is looking like something really special right now, and he's looking like he wants to guide this team. So overall, yeah, it's just nothing but encouraging.
You talk about, if you listen to anybody in the media and they talk about the things that you need for playoff success in the NHL, right? And everybody says the same things, that, a team to win the Stanley Cup, you got to have that number one centerman. You got to have goaltending, and you have to have that number one defenseman that can play on the blue line, that can bring offense, and the Cale Makar type, the Zach Werenski type. There's a whole bunch of Quinn Hughes, all those guys. Even before Dougie's injury and Siegenthaler's injury, and before Luke kind of stepped up into this role, where I didn't know we really had that. Thought we had a nice collection, but did we have that guy that can just take a game over on the blue line? I kind of feel like we might have him, and it's Luke, and we got Nico, and we have Markstrom. We have, when Jack's in that lineup, I would feel a whole lot better going into these playoffs, but I'm nowhere near as ready to stick my head into a 500-degree oven like I was 2 weeks ago. Like, this team looks like maybe they can do something. But Tone, we're talking about the Luke really in that last game. So this is the Luke Hughes
Awesome,
appreciation show. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
But he was amazing. I thought the game was awesome. We just said the other day when we were on the show that like how it would change if they pulled off this game, how our confidence would start going up. And I'm not saying like, I'm excited again. I'm ready for the playoffs. I mean, who knows what it's going to bring, but I don't know. Just last night they looked great.
You all still think I'm crazy for picking them 9-1 in the last 10?
Well, what's
right now? 3-1 since I made the prediction, so they got to win out.
Yeah, I do think that's not happening still. I don't think, but
you see
but
what
I
they
would
have
love to
left?
see it happen. Hopefully, I'm wrong. But
you see what they have left? They got the Rangers left. By Saturday, the Rangers might just be looking for their tea time. Then the same with Boston, and you might get some life out of the Penguins and the life out of the Islanders.
Penguins always play the Devils good.
Yeah, but we could beat them. For the most part, we beat them a lot. Yeah. So you got the Rangers, the Bruins, the Penguins, the Isles, the Bruins, and the Red Wings. It's not likely.
I guess Pittsburgh and Red Wings are the two worries on that whole thing, pretty much. I guess you would say, but not you could beat them both.
You figure the Red Wings last game of the season, if they're out of it, then we might not be playing, really for much of anything at that point. So yeah, we might drop a couple of those games if everything.
Yeah, because you might see some guys from Utica come up.
Yeah.
And stuff,
so, but I don't know. I don't think it's that insane anymore. We got through the toughest part of that, the Winnipeg and the Wild.
I just know Nico too, man. I mean,
oh God,
he's been so. I mean, we all love Nico, so it's just awesome to see what he's doing with the team and how he's kind of taking it on his shoulders a lot. I mean. I don't know. I've been this morning. I woke up happy, tired, but happy from that game, so.
And Bobby, you're going Saturday, right?
I am. Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
I don't know that I love the 4 days off. I think I would have preferred a nice kind of day on, day off cadence going into that game, but hopefully it works to their advantage.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for that. Like now that the kind of stones rolling downhill a little bit, it's like, now it stops. And they're talking about
Right.
this with the college hockey Final Four that's going on right now too. How they have like basically 2 weeks between games, and the teams and a lot of the coaches were doing some of the media rounds, and they're just kind of like, yeah, we'd prefer to be playing right now.
Well, I got a question for you guys because Timmy, you just sent out that tweet that somebody, I don't know who it was, but talking about Hamilton skating again, and looking like he's going to try to get back into this lineup before the end of the year. But it does look very hopeful that he's back for, the first game of the playoffs, or at least, soon after that. So if you have a healthy Dougie, do you take Luke off power play 1, or do you just move Dougie to power play 2? Because me personally, I don't change this. I do not take Luke off power play 1, but I'm curious what you guys think.
I agree with you.
You agree with me?
Like this power play is just absolutely outrageous the way it's cooking right now.
So keep him on 1, right?
Yeah, keep Luke. Yeah. Keep it in place. Honestly, I was even thinking about for like next year, like what you do. Like this power play is so good. Imagine having like a power play 2 unit that's like Jack and Dougie. I know that's not going to happen
because Dougie won't be on the team. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
I've been waffling on that, man. I'm like,
no, I think you got to trade him. Yep. I think you got to trade him. You're going to pay Luke after this year. I think you got to move on from Dougie. He served his purpose, but now it's Luke Hughes' turn.
See, Tim, I've always been critical of Doug. I mean, I like Hamilton, but I mean, I've always been a little like, the last season and a half, I think I always kind of hate to say.
He can't stay healthy.
Yeah,
that's my biggest gripe is he's only played 70% of the games the past
some on ice shit too, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
the fact that he's not a very good defenseman.
Yeah, right.
That's a big problem.
All
right, so it depends on what you include in defense.
Okay, well, for the sake of what we're talking about with Hamilton, we're talking about actual defensive acumen, like Yeah.
Okay. So puck retrieval on exits, he's excellent at. So.
Taking for a guy that big, I do wish he played a little bit more physical.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, I don't hate Dougie Hamilton. But I just don't know if you keep him after this year. But
he lit someone up with a big hit earlier in the season. I forgot what it was.
Pisses me off. Like,
we're all like,
"Holy shit! Do it.
Look what Dougie just did."
Why are you not doing this more often, dude? You can. You're 6'12", whatever the fuck.
He
6'14".
He does. He does sometimes like absolutely just like pace people.
Like 7 foot, Chris.
Shut up. 7'2".
7'2".
Yeah.
He like when he's eliminating a guy, he will just pace someone along the boards, and take this as you will, but sometimes they'll show locker room videos, and Dougie's ripped too. It's like, oh, Jesus
you
Christ,
love seeing him without a shirt on. My goodness, you really do.
Got a separate bottle of Jergens for that.
The Dougie bottle, the Dougie pump.
I got the
in their grave style.
the floral scented Jergens for that.
Oh, there you go.
I can
look. I think so. The way I look at Dougie defensively is when the puck's on his stick. Oh, great! Here I go. It's freezing. When the puck's on his stick, it's excellent. When the puck's not on a stick, it may be a bit of an adventure.
Yeah. I can get behind that.
I'm gonna refresh.
Now,
Tim's
Brandon,
casting couch photo.
I'm super psyched if he can get himself back into this lineup, because it definitely does. I mean, offensively, we're going to need him, and we're going to need that shot if he still has it. We're going to need him in the playoffs. So, getting Dougie back, getting Siegs back, it's going to help a ton.
Siegs looks like that's a no-go now.
It just kind of does, right?
Yeah, I think I saw a report that says that dream's done. But Dougie coming back can be good. And just my little 2 cents on keeping the power play units the way they are. So I would do the same. I also think that Luke can stay right where he is. And I think that in a way, and I didn't like this last year. I remember last year, early in the year, Luke was getting power play 1. And I had said on the show, I don't feel like he deserved that yet. I thought that should still have been Hamilton's spot. And throughout the year, it went back kind of that way. But this year, with the way things are working, I almost think I know it's more of a threat to have Dougie come back and be that shooter on power play 2 than it would be to put Luke there. No offense to Luke. The league knows how good he is. But there's a lot of history behind Hamilton where you see him lining up for the shot. Everybody knows he's made a living scoring from back there.
Yeah.
And
So if you could keep power play 1 humming and then put that on power play 2, what's the other team going to do?
The kind of differences between the two, like if you that one power play goal, Nico's hat trick goal, right? And I actually posted this on Twitter. Like if you watch that again, just the motion that they can implement with Luke being so mobile up top. Dougie's a lot more static. Obviously, he's not moving his feet as much. And I think on a power play 2, it can be a little bit simpler and a little bit more basic where it is.
Have less time.
Yeah. You feed Dougie, let him bomb away, and Tatar, Nason, or whoever's in front. Even Mercer on that power play has looked actually very good.
He has.
Mercer's always had very good net front hands. He just wasn't shooting the puck. So anyway, I totally agree with you. I think you keep it the way it is.
And we've all seen over the course of these last handful of games, like the team looking like a team much more than they have all season. And I don't know, like, were they just the guys that are now contributing and showing up, and they didn't all year, it's crazy. Like Mercer was seriously fucking invisible all year until the last couple of weeks. And then all of a sudden, wow, this guy's, when he wants to play, or I know he always wants to play, but you know what I'm saying. He's great. Tatar jumping in and Hala, offensively, even like you mentioned, Dowling, like these guys are all contributing now. I don't know if do you guys think this was like we better get our asses rolling because there is no Jack coming back to save us, or is it more like, they were like, I don't know how much were they taking just shifts off? Was this just so much of a Jack centric team that everybody just kind of let Jack and his line and that Nico line just take care of everything, that they felt they didn't have to do a whole lot? I don't know. I don't think that's it, but it's weird to me how all season long, and now all of a sudden with these tweaks, they look tighter than they have most of the friggin' year. So, I mean, maybe it's just getting used to the fact that we don't have Jack Hughes, and we are going to have to implement a different system, a different style of play, and everybody's going to have to contribute that they're really doing it. But even against some top line opponents, you're seeing them play really, really good hockey. Not able to get the wins, against the Dallases, against Vegas, after the 2 goals in Winnipeg, I thought they played pretty decent in that first period, and then the game got away from them. But I don't know. It's just strange to me how, I don't know what it is about the changes and what has been done, but these guys just seem really comfortable right now. And I'm very, very grateful for that, because I feel going into the playoffs, look, guys, we're going to play a really good team. But if they play this way and they get better over these last 6 games and they get ready for the playoffs, they might be able to beat Carolina. I mean, and I don't know, nobody's giving them a chance. I mean, if you listen to anybody in the National, okay, so Carolina moves on to the second round. Jersey's not going to be able. No Jack Hughes. And I hear somebody else, there's no Jack Hughes. Like we're dead to rights. We have no Jack Hughes. Like,
but I think a lot of that, Chris. I think a lot of the media giving us no chance, unfortunately, is a lot of the Devils' fault this year, because they've given not much to believe in for winning a string of games or looking like a consistent team for a string of games. So I think that plays into it, because I think if you, with Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt, you look at some of these guys on this lineup, even with Jack Hughes out, if they were consistent this year, people would say, okay, that they have the talent. I mean, we have some damn good players, you think. But I think it's just the confidence for, even as myself, as we're talking right now, I'm totally psyched the way they've been playing lately. But if you ask me, do I believe, that's why earlier, do you think they could win the rest of the games out? I don't know. I've not seen them win 4 games in a row this year. I've seen them.
That's true.
And the 4 days off that Bobby mentioned, when he says that, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, it's not good, because I know. And if you say a sweep a series, you got to wait for another team a week. I hate that. Like, I don't like that. Even a bye week in the NFL. Sometimes I don't like that shit. Like, if you're rolling, you want to keep on rolling. Especially the Devils aren't tired from rolling, because they haven't rolled all year. So this is like a new roll. You know what I'm saying? So it's
very good points.
And the national, and a lot of this media that we're listening to is like the national media. It's the NHL Network and Sirius XM, maybe, but they're also kind of glance at the standings, glance at who's out, and they're like, "Oh, the
I know.
Jack or Dougie out. They're dead in the water."
I mean, we see that.
And we watch them day in and day out, so we know where all the little issues are. But if it seems like they've been able to better recreate Jack's offense in the aggregate amongst like all of the other players around him. We were saying that before, like that's what they need to do, and I feel like they've actually been able to kind of take it a step forward. But also like the third and fourth line are actually contributing. Like when they're getting constantly caved in or not producing any offense or not forechecking or anything, then it's completely up to the first and second line to get the puck in, to establish a forecheck.
Does that drive you crazy too? Because it kind of drives me crazy. Like, maybe if you all were chipping in this whole year, then maybe Jack wouldn't have had to go 110 miles an hour tied up with Eichel into the boards, because maybe we would have been in a different situation in that Vegas game. But, it's like that was the biggest problem, right? I remember seeing some dude at Wawa back. I don't even remember when it was. It had to be back in like Christmas time or right before Christmas. He's wearing a devil hat. I was like, yeah, nice game last night. Huh? I forget. I don't even know who we won though. He's like, yeah, it was. He's like, it's just, kind of hoping to maybe, I'm like, what, get guys not named Hughes and he's sure scoring goals? He's like, yeah, we got to juggle those lines, man. Like that was like, everybody just saw it. Like it was those two all the time. Like it's so frustrating. Like if everyone had just woken up or for whatever reason, like maybe we have a different, but I love where we are right now.
That goes back to the construction of this roster and the excitement that we all had and everybody had on paper. It was always prefaced by saying, yeah, of course they have to play up to their potential, but that's all they really ever had to do with the guys that were brought in, the different types of roles and personalities. Like if they had all done what they're capable of normally doing, we would have had a much better year. We just would have. I mean, it was for months. It was Jack.
We were amazing. We were one of the best teams in the league through Christmas. I don't know what the fuck they did over Christmas. I don't know what kind of voodoo dolls got poked, but like from that point on, they just one of the worst teams in the league. So it's been trending upwards, but like you guys are saying, like it could all fall apart again. We just went through this like a week ago where they won a couple in a row. They won 3 in a row, then they lost 3 in a row. And it's just like
the one thing that I'm at least a little bit optimistic about is even if we, it's a 1-1 series coming back to Jersey against Carolina. In game 3, we get absolutely our asses handed to them. It's, it's 4-0, it's 4-1, 5-1. I'm confident that game 5, we're going to be all right. Like this team has a really, really great ability to be able to bounce back from losses and not let the really bad shit pile up. And they've had that all year. So that's something I'm very excited to see how this goes in the playoffs, because I mean, they might not ever win another 4 games in a row, but it's okay. Win 3 out of 4, and we can,
These are professional athletes. They've been hockey players their entire lives, and sometimes you just sense it's time to turn it on a little different. The playoffs are here. It's almost impossible for them not to make the playoffs. They've been in that mindset for a while. Maybe it didn't fully translate in their play as much as they wanted it to when it started turning around in their brain, but it's kind of getting there now. The urgency, that mentality where every single play and every single second matters really is a thing. Like you've got to buy into that completely. And maybe part of it's that too. They are gearing up for it. These are professionals.
An 82 game is a long season, and January, February, it gets dark at 4:00. It's cold out. Your wife's bitching at you. You're like, oh fuck, I have to drive to the rink. Like it's 2 degrees outside. You're trudging around in the fucking snow.
We get it. Sucks. Okay, the winter sucks.
Fucking Uncle Puckers are on 4 times a week. This is just
annoying. I've got to listen to these fucking.
I'd like to hear us all on Saturday if we fucking shit the bed against the Rangers.
And look, there's a very good chance that we are. So this is why I'm going to ask you guys, and we'll go around. We'll go Bobby, Tony, Tim, and me. We have 6 games left before the playoffs start. So these 6 games, I'd pretty much win, lose, or draw. It doesn't matter. We're in. We're playing Carolina. Bobby, what are you most confident about this New Jersey Devil team going into the first round playoffs against the Hurricanes? What are you most confident in?
I think I'm most confident that they won't implode and that they'll keep everything in check to where it is. Be in the situation. They won't overreact or underreact. I think they're just going to be kind of a steady, cohesive team.
Okay. How about you, Tony? What are you most confident in?
Goaltending.
Yeah.
Be the biggest thing for me. I mean,
Tim?
I think they've shown us the ability that they can rise to meet the moment and can kind of ratchet up that intensity, which then ratchets up the physicality, which is what you're going to need in the playoffs when whistles get put in the pocket. You know, like Brendan Dillon, yeah, he made like a huge fuck up, you know, that tied the game, but that's a guy that's going to be in front of the net, like beating the shit out of someone when the whistles are away. You know,
he's been good this year. Yeah.
I think our ability to kind of keep things close and stay within things, like you were just saying, like, and not let things spiral out of control and get away from us is good. Even over the course of a couple games, within the game, within a couple of periods, like I think we've shown a pretty good ability to bounce back and to kind of stay within things and to react to pressure and to kind of push back when we need to push back. And I think we will win the physicality battle if they engage in that physicality battle. I think we have the horses for it.
Well, I think we need to initiate it against Carolina. We have to be the initiators, and we have to, I think, set the tone early on of what's going to happen there. I'm most confident. I'm exactly with Tony. I'm goaltending. Our goaltending has not been a worry at all season. It's just these two guys have been rock solid for the most part. I know a lot of people, you know, when Markstrom was coming back saying Allen should get all the starts and Markey's not ready. And we said it on this show, like, Markey, you got him for the playoffs, like get him ready for the playoffs, and he's there. So that's what I'm really confident in, that we're going to go in and play the Carolina Hurricanes. We have better goaltending.
If we don't have that goaltending, we're not even going to the playoffs this year.
You're right. You're right, Tom.
True.
Yeah.
And obviously it's a strength, no doubt about it. But I'll tell you why I didn't pick that. Because even with as good as they were all year, we saw when the team and the defense were leaving them out to dry that we were getting blown up pretty bad on some nights because they're not superhuman. So my whole point was I feel like the team has just kind of come together more singularly focused. To those types of things aren't going to happen again. So that's why I wouldn't do that. Skill to skill. Yeah, obviously we've had one of the top tandems in goaltending in the NHL all year. So it's very comforting. I just like the kind of mentality and what I'm seeing of the team in these last few games and what we have to look forward to in the next 6.
Now, in the next question, again, can only pick one. I know that if we stop and think, we can all come up with about 20, but just one. What are you most worried about with the Devils going into this playoffs, Bob?
I guess I would say I'm a little worried about the offense drying up. Some of the key guys just, not finding the net. Like, again, I'll praise Jesper Bratt to hell and back for how great of a year he has and just how great of a player he is. And he still quietly has 20 goals or whatever, but we need big goals and big moments. So I don't want to see all of our key guys miss that mark. Got to have different people step it up different times. So I'm a little concerned that we won't put up enough offense.
Tone?
Skill. And what I mean by that is because I do think that a lot of things weren't met before the deadline. And I think that's when it comes to a playoff series, a couple playoff, like the whole playoff run, I just don't know if we have the pieces that can compete with all those teams that some of the teams. And that's what I think I complained about last episode we were on too, is to me, that's a big concern with the Devils is that like right now, I think we said last week, if we had even one, but if we had two decent pieces with this team right now, I feel like the playoff run could be more successful. And I think you have to have that when you go, hockey's not like it's an unforgiving sport. Like that's you're going through a lot of games to get to that trophy. It's not like you just, not that football is an easy thing, but it's not like you could just pull off a couple games and get in. You got to really compete with these teams. And that's what worries me with the Devils. I mean, and like I said, I hope for the best, but that is a concern, I guess.
Now, do you feel though that come playoff time, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just curious about this. Like come playoff time, your skilled guys get reduced quite a bit. Leon, I mean, Draisaitl and McDavid are not going to have 4 and 5 point nights for the most part in playoff games. You know, teams go in and say, you're going to beat us. Dude, it's a physical game. It's going to be, you know, ugly goal mounts, scrambles for, goals. It's going to be, you know, tic-tac deflections and bullshit like that. You kind of see that skill. It just becomes a different game. It becomes a much tighter game. It becomes. Do you think that because we?
But I think you have to have better
those
players.
But do you think we have those kind of guys that can win that like grinded out game if they're contributing? You know, the guys that can crash the net.
I think guys like Nason can, but there's guys that have been invisible this year that I don't know if they can actually do that. Where if you would have asked me last year, like I'll go to Eric Holla, like he was a guy I thought could change a lot of games for the Devils this year. I mean, he's been playing better right now,
right?
But I don't feel that still because I don't think I've seen like even again goes to the consistency thing. I haven't seen these guys like the Hollers or Tatars be consistent for a period of time.
You think we have the horses? They just haven't played that like that.
I think we might have. I don't know if the horses are there anymore. Like I don't know if is Eric Hall. I don't know if it's just had a bad season or or had a rough season.
Is he gone? Yeah. Is
it done? Or Tatar. I liked Tatar the last time he was here. I was kind of annoyed. We all were like, wanted him back. And then when we got him back, I think we thought we were getting something different than we actually were getting. And is that just what their skill levels become because they're getting older? I mean, it's nothing against them. I mean, I hate to say that even, but you have to wonder these things because we've had a few guys this year. And even, Tim was talking about Mercer, which I agree. It's getting better. But there was a period of time this year where it was like, man, like, when's he going to take that next step, And maybe I would love it to be in the playoffs because that would be a great time to do it, So, that's and Chris, you mentioned we look at we all watched the Devils when they were great. We watched the 95 teams and stuff like that. You had guys like maybe look at Claude Lemieux's regular season was much different than his postseason. Stefan Richer, I mean, he was hitting a lot of posts, but I mean, he was awesome. Like, do we have a couple of those guys that can change a series like that? Guys that were added too on the team sometimes,
I think a Timo Meier can be that Claude Lemieux type guy. I do. I think he can turn it up a different level. Like, do we have a guy that is going to be like Jeff Friesen, who is just going to, been a
perfect
kind of
example, Jeff Friesen,
a good player. Right, it was a good player for San Jose, good player wherever he was.
Explosive playoff,
and then comes into us and just holy shit, man! This guy was just finding the back of the net every single time that the Devils needed him to. And is that Cody Glass? I don't know. And it's going to be fun.
And that's the way it always seems to work, right? There's always one random guy that just, you look at Tampa and it was Nick Paul, and you look at Carolina against us 2 years ago. How many goals did Jordan Martinook score against us? Like,
look at Jonathan Marchessault for Vegas. Like, he just decided,
Sean Chambers, 95.
Sean Chambers in 95. Those huge goals in Game 4. Absolutely.
2 years ago had like 6 game winners, and then the year after wasn't even a point per game.
Langenbrunner the same year as Friesen. He went off the rails. He scored a third of what his regular season goals were in,
So
I don't know if we have a couple of those guys and I think we had him last year. Like I thought Eric Holla, when he was, the year we were all fired and he was coming back, fired up, I like that was a guy that to me that in the playoff, could score some of those goals. I think that believe it or not, I think Nason can do something special in the playoffs because guys like that who might chip in one, or that's a big one. But
you're 100% right. What about you, Timmy? What are you most worried about with this team?
I'm with Bob. It's just I think the biggest issue we've had this entire season, I don't think that will change. Our ability to generate offense has gone dry. Like we're giving up. We've been shut out more than anyone else this year. I think maybe tied with like San Jose or Chicago or something.
No, we're leading the league.
Are we leading the league?
We have. They said it on the last game or the game before. They were about Spalding and Danico. We're talking about. We've been shut out 8 times and we've shut teams out 8 times.
Yeah, good, great, grand. Yeah. Everybody on the bus. Yeah, that's the thing. Like
being your pants is cool. Sorry.
There was this guy that I knew But
you know,
and
No,
Bob,
you didn't.
Bob brought up Brat, and I will go to the end of the earth to defend Brat. And I think his play was actually pretty good 2 years ago. He just didn't score, but he needs to be able to kind of continue what he's been doing this year. And I
he
think
has a nice personality. That's basically what that is.
He
You
had a
know?
bunch of hits last night too, didn't he?
well,
Yeah, he
that's
played
what I was
great
that's
last
what I was
night.
that's what I was about to say.
But that's a different part of his game that he just added this year.
that,
He
that
just
he's evolved. His game has evolved every year,
right.
and I think he can continue that in the playoffs. Like that one play, then he eliminated Foligno, who's like twice his size.
Yeah.
In like the second or third period, I was like, oh, holy shit, Jesper. And then that play in the 3-on-3 overtime, he just decided, he was like, I'm going to get on top of this guy and just fucking bury him into the boards, get possession back. And possession's the most important thing in 3-on-3 overtime. Brad just made the decision that he was going to get the puck back.
Hey,
Can he do that in the playoffs? I hope so. I think he can,
I think
but he needs to lock in and be able to do that. I think 2 years ago he was still pretty heavily a perimeter player, and like you were saying, you need to kind of get into the inside and get into the interior on teams, and we've struggled to do that. That one Flyers game where we got shut out, that was an absolute dud of a game. Like they blocked like 30 shots, and we just could not get to the interior on them. We need guys that can be able to do that. I think Nason, Holla, Palat are the guys that will need to do that.
Well, Palat's another one that can be that, like, holy shit, yeah, he showed up for the playoffs. So the thing I'm most worried about going into the playoffs and for the next 6 games and for the playoffs or continuing, however long they do, is injuries. I'm these last 2 years, this team has been just so riddled with friggin' injuries. That's the thing that scares me. It's like game 80, Myers out and and Brat's out. Like
Did you
that's
guys see
shit I'm
Kachuk's
totally
hurt?
nervous.
Brady's out right now, and then
Yeah.
I heard
Yeah.
the other Kachuk is actually practicing, but I heard he's still a decent amount of time away.
I heard somebody say today from Florida, or was it yesterday? It doesn't matter. Yes, he's skating, but they said they're hopeful they'll get him back at some point in the playoffs, but there's a very good chance he doesn't make it back at all
Wow,
this year.
changes the whole thing for them.
That's a massive blow. And Tony, this is something you brought up earlier. That was a great point in this couple shows ago. It's like what Florida had and relative to what we have is Florida has like heavy skill. They have players that are good and big and heavy. We have guys that are skilled and guys that are heavy. We don't have really anybody in between except maybe for Timo and Nason sometimes. Nico's kind of evolved into that a little bit, but he's still not totally there. So that's what I think wins in the playoffs. The other thing I'm concerned about is if Dougie's not back, then we're running Nemec out there as our 6D and Keith's inability to trust him. And if he fucks something up, but also the amount of mileage that's going to put on Luke and Pesci and Kovacevic on the right side. Like Kovacevic has kind of had some rough moments over the past couple of games.
I don't think there's a chance in hell that Dougie's not back for game 83.
Against Carolina?
Yeah, I don't think there's I think that no matter what, he's going to get himself back into this lineup.
That emotional of like Dougie, Holla, and Nason against Carolina. I think that's going to really drive the bus.
What I wonder is that say the Devils win the next 2, right? I think they're in. I think that's like.
Is that it? They need 6.
I believe so.
4 points rather.
I believe so. I don't know do you put Hamilton back in until the play? Do you let him rest a couple more games and then bring him back in the playoffs, or do you?
I mean, if he's ready to go now, I would play him now. I'd let him get as comfortable as possible until the playoffs. But if it's like he can go now, but
that's what I'm saying. If he can go now,
like it's like if one of those, like, he'll probably be better off resting until the playoffs start. Then either way, whatever they decide. I mean, as far as his physicalness, I have no problem throwing him in against the Rangers if he's ready to play. I
don't think that's going to happen.
No, but well, one other thing I want to talk to you guys about. But first, Bob, did you have a devil for tonight? You do? Okay, so do I. So we'll do yours. All right. Guys want to play a game?
Yes, we do.
Do it.
Shall we play a game?
Buckle up, boys and girls. It is time for the Devil You Know on the Uncle Pucker New Jersey Devil Podcast.
It is that
every
have all
time.
4 of us now, so that's awesome. Like, that's
do.
great
I
for
didn't
Tony
write this
to
thinking
come.
Tony was going to play, so
I'm half out of it, man. So
All right,
Tony,
so
did you listen to the last one where I threw him off the scent with Chris Terreri?
no, no,
yeah,
I did not hear.
got us
I,
with Terrari.
I gave him the goals and assists stat line. Totally threw him off the scent.
No.
All right, so this is now time for Devil You Know, the most fun interactive game in New Jersey Devil podcast history. Tonight it'll be Bobby. He'll be giving the clues of any New Jersey Devil or former New Jersey Devil player. Myself, Tim, and Tony get 3 incorrect guesses before we are eliminated. We can ask Bobby any question that we want. He can or cannot answer. It is completely up to him. And whoever wins this round of the Devil You Know will be the clue giver for next week. So, Bobby, whenever you're ready.
So let's just hope that you weren't preparing the same player. This is going to be a very short game.
I
Okay.
would doubt
Good
it.
point.
This former Devil played for 4 NHL teams. He averaged about 18 goals per year over his career.
No, I have to say something with this regard to Tim. So last time we played, Tim got, what was it, Richer, right, Tim?
Mike Motto.
Oh,
Mike
Mike. No,
Motto.
the one before that. When I think I gave the motto, so it was before that when you won.
Oh, it was
Um,
Richer, yeah.
yeah.
He was from Quebec or something like that. And I was like,
When I
that's-
heard the first clue, I thought that name. I said, so now I'm thinking, well, you got 3 chances. So I think it's just good if you have a first, like, just waste a
Blurt it out.
guess. Yeah,
That's what I do.
Do
Do you have a guess?
Yeah, are you going to blurt something
No,
out?
not yet. But it was the other one. Tim did. I said, man, I should just wasted a guess and just done it.
Yeah,
What the
you
hell?
should have.
Still is more fun when we get to answer more questions. Maybe we don't tell them if they're right or wrong till the end.
I know, right?
Shout them out, just write it down. All right. So what we just say,
18
average
goals
18
a
goals a year. This player has never reached 30 goals, but did have a 29 goal season. His highest point total was that same year, and it was a year where the following 4 movies were tops at the box office: Something About Mary, Saving Private Ryan, Armageddon, and Titanic. Does anyone know the year?
1995? No, 97.
I think it's 98.
It is 98.
98? Okay,
Yep.
my
That's
bad.
the one he had the most goals, 98.
Most points.
Most points.
Highest
How many
point total
points?
year was
Oh,
1998. We're
is.
not doing that yet.
Okay.
Okay. His lowest scoring season was 4 goals.
Was
and
that
9 total
season
points.
all when he was on the Devils, or are you not telling us that?
I'm not telling you that.
All right, what was that clue you were given?
His lowest season, his lowest statistical year was 4 goals and 9 total points.
Oof, woof.
That was with the Devils. Overall, he's had 21 professional seasons.
Oh wow, so he's played some time.
So, yes. This former Devil became an American citizen in 1996 at a ceremony in Newark. This is where Tony gets it.
No.
The notable albums to debut in his draft year were Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses,
87,
88.
Dr. Feelgood by Motley Crue,
89.
Like a 89 is right. Like
89?
a Prayer by
Okay.
Madonna, the Batman soundtrack by Prince, and the world was introduced to Milli
Batman
Vanilli.
soundtrack. I just
He
watched
was
that video. the
drafted
other
in
day.
89. Who was he drafted by?
Can't tell you that yet.
You can tell me, Bob. We've been best friends since we were 12.
We ain't gonna
Then
tell
you're gonna
nobody.
get it. This player did have 2 stints with the Devils for a total of 11 seasons.
2
Claude-
stints, 11 seasons with the Devils.
11
He's drafted in 98.
Claude
between the
Lemieux.
2 stints, yes.
No, if he's drafted in 98,
Claude Lemieux is
No.
not correct.
if he's
Yeah,
98, he's.
throwing out a random guess. 89.
I was gonna. I almost said the same thing because he said 2.
2 stints.
Yeah.
In 18 NHL seasons, this player managed to play all 82 games just 4 times.
See, he was
Came
a
back
forward,
twice.
right?
He's a
29
Okay.
goals. Yeah, I'd assume he was-
Yeah.
As a Devil, this player had 202 goals, 270 assists for 472 total points.
Is it Langenbrunner? No, he was already American. Never mind.
Hmm.
Still a guess.
Was it Langenbrunner? I was
No.
just thinking, like, that's a good guess.
Okay. Layups are coming now. No, it's not Langenbrunner.
Okay.
This
People,
player
are people
has
laughing
8
at us for not knowing by now? You think, Bobby?
Probably.
I think right about here is where it's all going to start to click. If that's just my guess. This player had 863 penalty minutes for the Devils.
Billy Guerin?
Incorrect.
No, he was twice. Yeah.
He was American too.
Oh yeah,
That's Bobby Holik.
that's right.
Are you
Was it
guessing?
Bobby
Chris?
Holik?
It was Bobby Holik.
Yes.
That's good.
Oh, drafted by Hartford. That's
here's
right.
what would have really started to bring it down. So he's 10th all time in Devils games played, 786. He's a 6'4", 230-pound right shot center.
Yeah, that was
He's
it.
from the Czech Republic. He won 2 cups, 95 and 2000, and a former member of the Crash Line.
He was
All good
drafted
ones.
what that year from Hartford? He was like 9th or 10th.
I think I still have that up.
So who did he play for? The
Whalers.
Devils, the
Whalers,
Rangers.
the
Did he ever play-
Rangers.
Wait, did he ever
Thrashers.
play for the Whalers? He did play. For
Yeah,
the
2
Whalers?
years.
He did play
Yeah.
Oh,
for
he
2
did.
years.
Okay, so
I
the
think he was
Whale
drafted like 9th or 10th from the Whalers,
10th,
right?
10th overall, 1989.
and the Thrashers.
Yep.
You said.
Yeah, the
Yeah, I
Thrashers, and then
remember
he
that.
came
I didn't know
back
he
to
played.
us in 08-09 for 1 season.
I forgot that.
The
I
unibrow.
forgot about
remember
that second stint.
He had that fucking
Yeah.
eyebrow.
Yeah, he did.
We did a very good job tonight on the ice. I thought that my lines and my line mates, Randy McKay and Mike Peluso, did a wonderful job. I'm so
I-
happy to be here in America. Thank you.
I hated
That
him
was
for a little
Bobby.
bit though, man. When he wore
Yeah,
that
when he was a
Rangers
Ranger.
uniform. Yeah.
fuck
He
yeah.
lives in like the hills of like some weird little town in the Czech Republic now, or Czechia.
I haven't heard from Bobby Holik at all.
He did like a Spit and Chicklets interview like pretty recently, like a couple
he
months
did?
ago. Yeah, he was talking about like his training regimen, where he like this hill that was by his house. He would like it was like he would like carry water from like a well or something up the hill. Like,
He
was
never
like,
comes back for like any of the reunion stuff. Like they never see him.
I really appreciate how Chris Slow played that because he also did have Bobby Holig. He just let it drag out for a little while. make him seem smart.
14.
Now he's like, shit, I got to make a new devil, for next one.
Actually, I have my
some,
devil. I have my next week's devil, right here, boys.
There you
in
go.
my
All
notebook.
right.
We're all set for it.
Wait,
And I
wait,
won
pause.
too.
I'm
so I
gonna
can
go
actually
look
use
at that. I'm
it.
gonna go watch the YouTube and cheat.
There's one thing I want to mention to you guys because this caught me as completely by surprise the last home game, and it happened again last night. And I don't know if this is something that's now a thing that we're doing or it's been going on, and I didn't notice this kill chant during the penalty kill whenever the puck is in our defensive zone. You guys don't know what I'm talking about?
I didn't hear this. You texted. I was like, I don't remember
when you
that at all.
texted it, I was like, what did I miss that's new? Because that is.
I don't remember
going on.
seeing that. But Timmy, you knew about this?
You don't see it, you hear
No,
it. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, I never
I didn't
noticed
hear
this.
it or notice it. I don't know, but like I'm like
So
a
when-
cat
when-
with my phone. So
And then
when
there's
the
the
other
horn,
team
right?
brings the puck into the zone on the penalty kill, an air horn goes off, and then and it's synchronized, the air horn, and then they go kill, bah, kill, bah, and the whole place chants kill, which I think is the coolest thing in the world.
Oh, it's the soundtrack from the Capitol last year on the 6th. But no,
Long way to get
I didn't
there,
notice
but-
that. But you know what I always
Hey,
notice is
so
the
you
fucking
didn't notice
sandwiches
this?
going
Wait,
around
wait,
on the
wait,
side of the things.
Yeah, the same Wawa hoagies. Always
Drives me
going
crazy.
around. But
Makes me
wait,
nuts.
Bobby, how long have they been doing this? They didn't do
Years.
it at the game. I've never seen this.
Every home game I go to, for at least the last little while. I couldn't tell
Did
you.
they
if it was
not
2,
take
3
a
years or more.
penalty kill, a penalty in the Toronto game we saw? Because they didn't do that. And I know we took a power play.
I
mean, a
never
penalty.
really noticed it through the TV, to be honest with you. It's just when I'm there. But yeah, that's not new as far as I know. Anybody else too? Let us know. But
I
I don't
just
think
noticed
I've
this,
ever-
and I think it's the
ever-
coolest thing. I've never heard any NHL team do it before, and to me, I'm just discovering it. So I'm like, this is something that we do as Devil fans. It is the coolest thing in the world. Just that kill chant. It's so violent and awesome.
How didn't I notice that? I don't understand how I missed
I know,
that.
I feel like Tony, that'd be right up your alley.
Yeah,
Go back
I'm
and
gonna
watch
watch
it.
I'd
it.
be curious. I'd be curious if there's any season ticket holders that can tell us for sure when it was. I'll just go on record of saying at least a couple years.
Okay, I mean, if
And
Bobby, you
by
say,
saying
like,
a couple,
of years,
it could have been the last 10 for all I know. All I know is I very much hear that chant. And
I
I'm
was
with
at a
you. I
couple
love it.
games, and I was just at a couple games a couple years ago, and I didn't notice that. Maybe I did. I was just too stoned to realize.
No, you would definitely
What are they
notice
saying?
17,000 people
Man.
chanting "kill." It's the
Kill,
coolest thing in the
man.
world.
What conscious
yeah.
I go to, it's very normal.
I got to know when this thing started and who started it because it's brilliant. I love
Actually,
it.
I do like
Carson
that.
with the
Jay
horn,
Simpson started
maybe.
it.
If I was on the ice
absolutely love
penalty
it.
killing, that would get me jazzed.
Right?
Fuck yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking
And I
kill
think that
somebody.
we've been perfect on the penalty kill since I noticed they started doing it, which I thought they just started doing it. And I was like, wow, this is so freaking cool. And how the hell did they get everybody hooked on this so quick? Maybe they're like blowing the horn and then kills coming up on the Jumbotron and everyone's just chanting it. Like, I just think it's super awesome. That's all.
I have a little NHL news.
Okay.
Alex Ovechkin scored goal 891, so now he has 4 more to go.
Four to go and
One more to
7
go, and
games
then he can
to do.
retire.
Yeah,
Well, I think they might get swept in the first round, so I hope he does do it before the end of the playoffs start because at least I'll have something to be happy about. Because I don't know, are they winning right now?
I don't know. My brother just came in and was like, Ovechkin,
You know-
give me hand signals like 891.
Who's getting that last playoff spot?
I think
Is
it's
it
gonna be
Montreal?
I think it's gonna be Montreal still. We got to put the nail in the Rangers' coffin on Saturday. That's what I really
Yeah.
hope for.
That's what I'm hoping for, dude. Plus,
And
we're
there would
getting
be-
like a shared
It's a day
suite,
game,
so
too.
I don't know if this is going to be like Ranger fans with us or not. Because
Yeah.
it's always secondary sales. I'm praying to God it's not. I don't want to ruin my time, but yeah, we got to bury them after this.
I mean, I'm constantly thinking like, shit, without Jack, can anybody score on Shesterkin? Like, that's what I'm thinking. You know, he was the only one that was able to do it for a lot of games. So, I mean, hopefully Brat can do his best Jack Hughes impression on Saturday, but there would be
I'll
nothing.
be right back.
Like, the only thing that would be better, you know, than, okay, winning a playoff round would be awesome and going far in the playoffs, but to be that nail in the coffin for the Rangers season, like if they lose their next game and then, you know, Montreal or Columbus win and then they have to win it, beat us on Saturday and we just stuff them.
I know
That'd be great.
it might not be the actual proverbial nail this game, even if we beat them, but that's still how I'm looking at it. If
Yeah.
we can keep these 2 points from them, as far as I'm concerned, we've done our job to keep them out of the playoffs.
I think
I
Timo.
agree.
I think Timo has a big game. He was such a menace in that playoff series. Like
Sure
even though he didn't
was.
score, he was one of our most valuable players.
And to be honest, if the Rangers lose their next game, who knows how much heart they're going to have coming into this game. That team is really a shell of itself. Like instead of digging down and trying to, I mean, out of all the teams chasing, they're the best team. You know, you put them up against Montreal, Columbus. The Rangers' talent is unmatched. I mean, they're President's Trophy winners last year. This is pretty much the same team, if not a better version of it,
Big
with JT
fall.
Miller.
If I were Washington,
And-
I'd be a little worried that if the Rangers do get in.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. I think Montreal, I think Washington could probably take care of. But if Columbus manages to get in or the Rangers manage to get in, it could be trouble for Washington. I mean, I want to see a world where we just go and we beat Carolina and then beat Washington and then go to the Eastern Conference Final.
No, that'd be so much
Win
fun.
a Stanley Cup, have a parade, and then have it.
Yeah, and we have some nice fun podcasts to talk
Tony,
about all summer.
buy the plane tickets now, man. You're coming back.
I'm telling you.
All right, anything else you guys want to
We'll
add
make
on?
the summer better because we can't go recapping the Stanley Cups again.
Yeah, but think about how many shows we just filled with Tom Fitzgerald bashing. If they win the Stanley Cup, we're gonna have to I don't know, find somebody else in management to shit on.
Fuck that guy. Just get rid of him anyway.
I got one
I'm
more
still there.
thing before we go. It's not hockey related. I just want to know if you guys have ever heard of the senior high school game called Senior Assassin.
Okay. So it's hysterical that you just brought this up because
Apparently you know about it as well.
I'm on my way to see my daughter at college yesterday. And I was in a text thread with my wife and my son, and I pull in and I was texting him something. He's in school and she's at work, and I'm on my way to Montclair, and I see a kid pull in to Wawa and he has a pacifier in his mouth. Right? Okay, so one kid with a pacifier in his mouth, whatever. I walk into Wawa. There's like 10 kids with pacifiers in their mouths. So I text on the group thread, why is every person at Wawa have a pacifier in his mouth?
Legit question.
And my son just writes back to me, Senior Assassin. Like, I know what that is. I'm like, okay. And I get my shit and I leave. Like, I've no idea. Whatever. I'm done. I don't want to know what this is right now. I have shit to do. So last night he comes up to me. Mind you, he's only a junior. And he goes, Dad, it was his buddy's on his way over. He's like, we're gonna go scope the house out of his target for the senior assassin. I'm like, okay, so now I got to know what the fuck is senior assassin, dude. And so apparently you know what this is, then, Bob. You
I do.
explain it? Okay.
Mine's slightly different than yours, but go ahead.
No, well, maybe the whole thing is different. What's yours?
So in my version of senior, does yours have anything to do with water guns?
Yes.
Okay. So this is basically a water gun game. This is sanctioned by the kids. This is not by the school. And I think it's absolutely cool as hell that like we can still live in a world where kids with plastic water guns can have fun and it's not like this big fucking problem.
Until a parent comes out of the house and shoots one
until,
of these
yeah,
kids.
Motherfucker.
or until
why they're neon green.
or until a cop pulls one of them over and
Right.
Yeah.
So around here, we started seeing kids with swimwear on.
Okay.
Now, they have to actively wear the swimwear. So, like, if you choose goggles, they're not around your neck. Like, you're wearing the goggles.
Yes.
If you choose floaties, you're wearing the floaties. You're not carrying it with you. The idea is everybody gets assigned a target, whoever's playing in this game. The only way you are safe is if you're wearing this swimwear wherever you are. And school is safe. You can't be assassinated.
Yeah, school's safe.
Within school. So this is like you're at your job, you're leaving your job, maybe, you know, you're slinging
this
yogurt
is like
every day,
all
like I did.
around your town.
All around, you got to put this stuff on so you don't get assassinated by a water gun. So maybe you're at the gym and you leave like, fuck, I forgot my floaties. Next thing you know, your buddy's out there waiting for you. He's squirting you with a water gun. And it just goes on and on until the last man standing. So they got to humiliate themselves in public in order to be safe. And I just think it's the coolest game, and I wish we could have done it.
So they're like, exactly. It's fucking awesome. And apparently they each put money into this. And,
Right.
and so every week, if you're eliminated, you know, you're out. And then so the pot can grow because you can come back in, whatever. So the pot can always, right now, the pot's like $3,500 to whoever wins this thing. So
Wait, so you don't get,
Thank
if
you,
you
my
get
man.
eliminated, you could buy back in?
I'm not sure if you could buy back in. My son explained it to me yesterday. The way the pot grows, I was half watching the game and half listening to him.
Or you
That was when
buy
you
in,
guys were
once
like,
get
"Are you
eliminated,
behind?"
you
Because
have
I had
to-
paused it. This is exactly what we were talking about. So these in my son's school, they have to put a pacifier in their mouth. That's what they have to do.
That's their safety.
That's their safety. So the rules are the same exact as yours. It's like safe zones, right? No, at school you can't break into people's homes. You can't do anything illegal or stupid. The only way that you can go through into somebody's house if their parents let you in, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like
a vampire.
And if you walk into their house or you catch them somewhere and they have a swim noodle between their legs or a pacifier in their mouth, you can't shoot them. And if they don't, you shoot them. You get it on video. That person's eliminated, and you move on. So
you finally get the ball, like ask that hot chick out, and then you
Right.
gotta, like you got the Red Lobster wearing swimmies.
Run in and shoot her in the face.
Would be if like right. The best would be like she asks you out, and you're like, oh my god, she actually
got it.
likes me. She takes you out to dinner, and you're having this great conversation. At the end, she shoots you in the face with a water gun. Her friend comes up from the booth over with a video camera, laughing at you, and she walks out.
I love it.
That would
I
be
remember in
awesome.
high school. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I was just laughing. It's funny. I
wish we
I
had
went to a
this.
boarding school, so I missed all the.
I remember we in high school.
Yeah.
Actually, we all went to high school together. Us three. I remember there was a kid. I don't remember his name. But he was like one of these raver kids. Because remember, everyone was raving back then, and we had some and he was on our bus, and he was dating this girl named Julie. I don't know, but he always bought a pacifier on the school bus. And this was like a 18, 19-year-old kid. You guys knew this guy too. And he was like, he had real squinty eyes. He was always real stoned, But they would all go to these raves, and then they would come on the bus in the morning, like basically in their pajamas, and they'd be sucking on pacifiers and
You
lollipops.
see girls all the time with pacifiers in their mouths going to
Yeah.
raves and shit. Yeah, so I guess that was something that they do.
That was a
They-
thing, I
It's a
guess.
fashion choice. We did some weird shit in the 90s.
I heard it
Yeah.
wasn't a fashion choice. I heard it was because you take X, and when you're on ecstasy, you grind your teeth a lot, and if you have the pacifier in your mouth, it stops you from grinding your teeth.
I don't know what
was
you're
told.
talking about, Chris. Never heard of that before in my life.
I've never done ecstasy, to be honest with
Where's
you.
your pacifiers in?
So
Yeah.
yeah, where's your
Yeah.
where's your
Yeah.
nut?
I got a whole drawer of them over here.
And in other news, Tim's gonna go get a bunch of false teeth.
And it was so
Yeah.
funny.
Next
Yeah.
Pucker episode, we're all going to drop
this,
X.
this half of my brain is just gone. from
My
ecstasy.
son's explaining it to me, and he's like, "So if you don't have the binky in your mouth," I'm like, "This is a really cool story, but you're referring to it as a binky. It just makes it really. You got to carry your binky around, makes it even better. Like I gotta have my
So funny.
binky."
Crazy good.
Yeah, I wish that we fucking were able to do that shit. Somebody
we
thought of
talked
it,
to adults that apparently have done a version of this just with friends.
but
I
I
think
worry
we-
about.
Take a lot longer to be done because you know, like look at us, our friends are spread out. This guy's on the wrong continent. For Christ's sakes, you know, it's like I'm never gonna win.
Exactly.
It's like that game Tag. Remember that movie?
Yeah,
Did you see that
If I'm
movie?
walking around in Lithuania with a swim outfit on too, they're gonna look at me a little weird. With
All the
like, fucking
time.
American.
Stupid American.
This guy.
Exactly. I told you they
Find out
suck.
that Tony landed in the U.S. and we all go grab our binkies and make sure we're safe.
I mean,
All
that
right.
movie
That would
Tag is
surprise the
hilarious.
shit out of you
Yeah,
guys,
it
wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Yeah, I show up at your
Yeah.
door like
All right,
Bobby's in his Eagles jersey and his Mets hat.
Yeah, you catch Bobby by himself. Get out, leave me alone. He's wearing an Eagles jersey. He won't admit it. He's probably a closet Flyer fan too.
Oh, now let's not
Ryan
yeah.
Graves blow up doll in the corner.
He's got Ryan Graves' picture taped to the top of a hockey stick. He's dancing around his living room with it.
No, I'm gonna run in the room and squirt you in the face with this.
All right, we're gonna.
Actually, I
wrap
did
this
miss
thing up.
Bobby. I haven't been on a show with you in a while, so I haven't missed
I
you, man.
know he wasn't here all week.
Yeah, I know your kid's been tearing it up on the ice and stuff like that, man. Congrats.
Yeah, it's
Pretty
been fun, man.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this thing up. If you're checking us out on the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe, the like, the alert bell, and if you're listening to us wherever you're getting your podcast on Apple or Spotify or Prime, a like, a 5-star review, positive comment helps the little podcast that could. For Bobby, Tony, and Tim, I'm Chris. We're the Uncle Puckers, and we'll see you when we see you.
Peace.
Coming for you, Val.
It's over, Johnny. It's over!